Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we like to take a little bit of pop culture, current events, entertainment, politics, and sometimes strange and unusual stories pulled from the news, social media, magazines, wherever we can find it. We're going to talk about it. So let's get into it, shall we? So let's start off with a little bit of entertainment and the rabbit hole of reality TV. So let's start talking about the 90 Day Fiancé franchise. And it is a very, very large franchise. I mean, I think I read a long time ago there's about, in entirety, there's about 18 different spinoffs. But there's the big ones. You have the 90 Day Fiancé, the original, Happily Ever After, before the 90 days, the 90 Day Fiancé the other way. You have the Single Life. But there's one that's newer into the mini spinoffs, and that's 90 Day Love in Paradise. And I don't know if you've seen this, but this season, and I don't know where they find them, but I must say a tip of the hat to casting. You definitely know how to find some interesting couples, that's for sure. Unusual, entertaining. It's something that draws you in, that you want to watch and keep watching. So I don't know if you've seen this season, and I believe it's season 3 of Love in Paradise. And the couple, the lady from Malta, what is her name? Anika, and she is dating the sperm donor, nomad with no address, guy named Kyle from, I think he's maybe from LA. I don't know. It always says nomad. Whoever is in the editing room and production, I love the shade. It's fantastic. It really is. And it makes me laugh. The undertones of shade really get me every time. But oh my God, where did they find this guy? I don't know. Did he write in? Did they find him somehow searching the internet? Because he kind of really takes the cake. Now, they try and really kind of one-up the couples every season, right? But the traveling sperm donor, and he has a map with little pins in it of all the different locations throughout the globe where he has impregnated a woman. And this woman in Malta, Anika, she is... she's like, I really like this guy. And the guy's a freak. I'm sorry. Eccentric, you can say what you want. Kind of freaky. A little freaky. It is very clear that he has not ever been in a steady relationship in his entire adult or teen life ever. It's obvious. But she is really trying to work with him. I guess she sees there's a sweetness to him underneath all of the... I don't know, I'm going to use a very old term here, Piccadillys, because he's got a lot of hang-ups, that's for sure. And I don't know how she hasn't ran away yet. I'm sure it's probably for the cameras. But this past week, she goes to his Airbnb with him. I'm like, oh my God, Anika, no, run, girl, run. But she stays with him, and we're going to see where that goes. If she continues on... I have to say, I'm going to come back and watch. I know it's bad, but I'm kind of curious. Like, are you going to stay with him? Like, what is the fascination? I think I have a clue what the fascination is. It's pretty clear since he's impregnated about 70-some women all over. So internationally, that's for sure. I mean, it's a pretty impressive map. Let's just say that. That's a pretty impressive map that guy carries around, rolled up in his backpack full of everything. He's just kind of gross to me, but he's obviously packing something. So I'm curious to see what Anita says about their night together. It's, I'm interested. And then they have another couple, Madeline and Luke in Colombia. There's always one from Colombia every season. That's a guarantee. On pretty much every 90-day series, there's a couple from Colombia. That's definite. And she She is really young. She's 19, and I think he's like 31, 32, and I believe he's also from the LA area. And she is, no joke, she is all business. And I gotta tell you, I think for a 19-year-old, she's pretty put together, I think. I mean, she's with it, and she doesn't really take a lot of BS from anyone, and I really appreciate that about her. Like, I have to say, when she talks about she's already running a business, she's trying to get an apartment, or she has an apartment with her boyfriend they bought there together in Colombia, or I thought she said they bought it together. Maybe he just bought it and she helps rent it out, but they use that as an additional monthly income. Kudos to them. So the girl's she seems to be quite business savvy at such a young age. And, you know, you've seen her interact with her family throughout the other episodes, and she still is connected with her family. So, for a 19-year-old, she seems quite mature. She was obviously grew up quite quickly, and a tip of the hat to her. But she is no joke, and she is a little hard and a little, materialistic and superficial in many ways. But hey, her boyfriend Luke seems to like it, and he's supposed to move down to Colombia to be with her. And he kind of always is changing the story and changing the plan. And I can see why she's frustrated a lot. And I think so far, what I have seen, I think she's rolled with the punches quite well. I mean, considering the past few episodes, he was supposed to move to Medellin to be with her. And the next thing you know, he's telling her, oh, not only am I not moving this time to be with you permanently, I'm also, pardon me, not only am I not moving here, but I'm also not going to, I lost my job, so I have no additional income, which is, I know what you needed. And oh, by the way, all that savings that we had and we were going to fall back on as our cushion, that's gone too, because I decided to invest all of it, not some of it, all of it, in my sunglass business. And I have to tell you, I'm not very impressed with those sunglasses. I don't know how far they're going to go. You better pimp those things out as much as you can on this show in your 15 minutes of fame, because I don't know. And I mean, that's a lot of money for only a few original copies of these sunglasses. I don't want to say prototypes, but I mean, because it's more than a few. But I mean, I think he said he was 100 glasses, but he spent like $30,000 or something. That fixed something crazy like that. Don't quote me on the number of glasses, but something not enough to produce that high of a value to shell out. I mean, that's a lot of money. So I don't find that was a good investment. And even she said she didn't think it was a good investment. And I feel like she's been quite supportive of him. So I don't know right now. And they also said in this last episode, he was concerned that his friend was telling her that she may have cheated on him while he's been in America working. And that always happens when friends get involved. They always complicate the relationship, cause a rift, cause many fights. So just be careful about what your friend says and maybe trust your spouse. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen, and maybe do a little bit of research on your own, but don't call your spouse out or your girlfriend, your partner, whatever, until you have all the facts, especially on television for the whole world to see. You don't want to air that dirty laundry if you're wrong, especially if you're wrong. Take it from Gino and Jasmine. They've been on every series of 90 Day Fiancé, I think so at this point, and they still can't figure it out. Although I do still like some Jasmine. She's the fun kind of crazy, and I like it. I bet that girl is so fun to party with. So Team Jasmine all the way. I love it. Moving on to other dysfunctional kind of groups as we kind of come out of the 90 Day Fiancé series. Let's move on to this other show from, I believe it was on Discovery, called Expedition from Hell. I don't know if you've seen this. This show gave me nothing but sheer anxiety watching it the entire time. So this show is a limited docuseries. Where cameras follow this former Israeli special forces demolition expert. And so he's well connected, and his claim to fame is that he's a survival expert. And he had been doing these training and survival camp skills for a long time. So he decided that as a extreme challenge, he was going to do this large fundraiser and competition, if you will, to get contestants to do these viral videos and submit them to him, and he would select his candidates. And he was going to do this 5,000-mile on foot journey across South America through some of the most difficult terrain through the Amazon jungle known to man. This journey has not ever been done successfully through this particular route, and it's extremely dangerous. Goes through some of the most dangerous parts, uninhabitable areas, unpassable areas through the jungle, and through some very dangerous territories, like extreme drug traffic zones, indigenous tribes that are not friendly to outsiders. And so he also took along with him, as he had a couple contestants that raised, I think they said something like $3,000 each. And of course they had the contestants that went with him. I can't remember. Along the journey, he would trade in and out some of these backpackers and survivalists that would join him along this 5,000-mile journey. But he was cruel to all of them. And then this man, the Grossman gentleman, had taken a couple native survivalists along this journey with him to keep him alive, who also knew the land, who also spoke and were friendly with a lot of the native languages and cultures, that would make it easier for him and to pass through some of these areas, and also make it safe, because he knew the native animals, land, food, so you could forage from the land. So all of that. So he is just, oh my God, I found it to be absolute insanity. This whole expedition seemed to me to just be an absolute nightmare of madness. It really was. I mean, just these people, these poor survivalists, and this one camera guy that was younger that tagged along with them, that wanted to kind of be a survivalist as well, but he was mostly hired to be a videographer of the expedition. To see him struggle, this poor man almost died, and the man, this former special Israeli agent, was just yelling at him, belittling him, treating like shit, and he would have left him in the jungle to die, I swear, if other people were not with him on that expedition. But so to hear the other interviews, it is just, if you like, Naked and Afraid and a lot of like those Bear Grylls and survival kind of shows, this is all of it to the 10th degree. It is absolute insanity. It's a good watch. It's only a few episodes. It's a very good watch. But I was on edge with it because, again, I am not an outdoorsy kind of person. So I just found it just to be awful. Like I said, it's my absolute nightmare to experience something like that, to be out in the wilderness to that kind of extreme, and to be out there stuck with some horrible individual like that. No, thank you. But all in all, it's a good show. I enjoyed it. And if you like Naked and Afraid, you'll probably like that one too. But I mean, just its twists and turns. They found all these the lost footage. I mean, the lies, the cover up. It's always good. So moving on to some other kind of gossipy shows, let's get into, of course, let's go our way to Bravo. The Real Housewives of New Jersey. That aired this past week. And I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the strongest start to a season. And again, I took some time off for Jersey for many years, but I came back the last, I think, season or two. And, because I like Dolores. I do like Margaret. And I even like the new girl, Rachel Fuda. I kind of like her too. But I always say, never been a Teresa fan. I actually do. I'm okay with Melissa. Not a Teresa fan, but she's old school. She does bring something to it. Jen Aydin, I do like Jen Aydin, and like I said, poor Danielle, she's coming for you. But I like the fact that Rachel Fuda is giving it to Teresa. And I want to see how this keeps going, because it seems like right now Rachel Fuda is just like, I am not taking it, and we are done, and I have no room for you, Teresa, and your bullshit. We're done. I think you're just played out, and I'm finished with you. I am the newest thing on this franchise, so step aside, sister, here I am. And I think it's got Teresa nervous a little bit. This whole scandal with Louis, there's all this stuff that's constantly coming out about him, and now you have a little bit more coming out with like Bo Dietl and some of the exes. And Bo Dietl was the former investigator. Like, his name came up in the season reunions last year, or in the reunion last season, because Margaret was claiming that he was somebody had reached out to her son at work, and it freaked him out, and Bo Dietl's name kept coming up, that he had done a lot of background checks on some of the other women on the cast. So a lot of stuff's coming about him, but a lot of stuff's kind of always coming up about Louis' passing. Teresa, it doesn't sound good, girl. Doesn't sound good. But, oh, Teresa. But here it is. Some more stuff's coming out. And as we have seen some of the trailers, there's some more, you get little more morsels of things that are coming down the road. That's things that are a little unsettled in their marriage. It's not coming off all, bells and whistles and rainbows. Like Teresa is actually expressing, or at least playing off. And look, a lot of people do that. They get married, they love, they want to get married again after going through a nasty divorce. They find something new, fresh, and exciting, a new start in their life. They remarry, and as soon as they remarry, they're like, oh my God, what did I do? I married this guy, and now I'm stuck with him. And poor Britney's going through it. Look at her on the Valley. Poor Britney is going through it. Look at J-Lo and Ben right now. J-Lo is doing the same thing. So it's okay. It happens. But Teresa, get rid of him. You have your beautiful daughters. Something else will happen, but you need to find somebody completely out of your normal checklist. Throw that list away, Teresa, and start anew and find somebody that you've never dated before. I don't know. Somebody that is not juicy or so tan they look purple. I don't know. Louis just creeps me out, and there's something very unsettling. I'm worried for you, Teresa. I am worried for you. But Jen Aydin is giving us a lot of her high drama. Dolores is still giving a lot of her, no, not doing that. And I kind of like that. That's the one thing about Dolores, is she's great, and all of her dogs. And Dolores, I love the name of all your pets. Bagel might be my favorite. Cookie's pretty cute too, but I like the name Bagel. Bacon, that's a good one too. So, and she had a ton of pets. There is a menagerie of animals in her house. She doesn't have a house. It's just straight up a zoo. But let's see. Dolores, I hope things go well for you and your relationship. You and Paulie seem kind of cute right now. I hope it works, but I don't know. I know. Danielle, this is not going to be your season. It's not looking good. I'm a little nervous for you. It's just not looking good. So I hope things change. And I feel there's so much going on in Danielle's life right now, and I'm afraid she's going to snap. And I'm a little nervous for her, because I think that, like I've said before, I think there's a cuteness and a sweetness to her. I think she's really struggling a little bit, trying to figure out this new kind of fame that she's experienced with the Jersey Housewives. Like, she's not used to people coming up to her everywhere in social media. Now you have her hairdresser coming out, saying stuff on the show, and they're bringing other stylists from the show. I mean, I feel for her. I'm not saying she's making good decisions. I can't back that up. I don't know what's going on. But I just feel, I think she's just new and trying to figure it out and not doing a great job doing so. But, she has young kids. She's got a lot of the family drama going on in her biological family. So I think she's vulnerable. And I hope everything, at the end, let's be kind to her. She's new, young, she's newly married. I don't want to see that marriage end. I don't want to see any of the younger marriages end. And we know the curse of the housewives, and that can happen. So just cautionary tale. And speaking of Jersey, Andy Cohen and Bravo has just announced that there will not be a reunion for this season of New Jersey. They said that I'm going to paraphrase, that reunions are essentially for coming together and having mendable moments. And it is clear at the end of this season that moving forward is not an option for many of the cast members. So, what does that mean? Well, first of all, I'm sure pretty much all of the cast members are pissed about that because that's a paycheck they're going to miss, right? I think, and the last time that happened was the Real Housewives of New York. And after that, well, boom, out with the old, in with the new. They totally got rid of the old cast and recasted totally new cast. Now, I have not come back to New York since they have recast it. I just can't. I've been down it once. I can't do it again. I'm sorry. I cannot do it again. I can't do a reboot. I've tried. I've watched it a few times. It's just not my cup of tea. I miss my old stores. My old aunties. Ramona. Crazy one that you would only see a couple times of the year, but you were just like, that one is the wild firecracker at all the family holidays. Then you've got Sonia. Sonia is the fun auntie, right? That you want to hang out with. She goes off on her tangent while she's having a great martini. And you're just like, you just love her. Youthful energy. I loved the old housewives. Luann, are you kidding me? Countess Luann. Classic Luann. Do you get better than that? I don't think so. And to take them away from me, and I even meet some Dorinda. Yes, and you've had some here and there along the way in New Jersey that sprinkled on a little fun, but that was classic New York. And they took that away. Now, I understand it was a hot mess, and it was very toxic. And there was a lot of politically incorrect things that Bravo was very nervous about from what we have all read throughout the blogosphere. But we know that once they canceled that reunion, they canceled the cast. So maybe you need to be nervous, New Jersey. But I have to understand, if I were Melissa, I wouldn't want to film with Teresa either. It's done is done. And, it's been long enough. It's been over a decade. That fight has aired. And why push the repeat button on the same shit with Teresa, but with a different guy? At least sometimes old Juicy Joe, as we remember, at least Juicy Joe would sit down with his bottle of homemade wine and sit there and be like, get out of here. And just shut up and walk away. That's what he'd say. Just get pissed and be like, get out of here. Because he just couldn't handle it. I feel like there's an unpredictability with Louis, and that makes me nervous. What you can't predict definitely is unsettling. And he gives me that. So, be nervous, New Jersey. Be very nervous. Anything can happen. But when Andy says no and Bravo says no, that's almost a no-no for you. And not only is that in New Jersey, look what has happened in the Ultimate Girls Trip. I loved those. I loved those shows. Just bringing back the old G's, throwing them all back in a house. Those were classic. That was the best summer guilty pleasure I had. Forget a good summer read when I could have a good summer watch on Peacock. No commercials. Didn't get better than that. And now that's gone away too. So come on, Jersey, get it together. Get it together. But another Housewives that's aired this season, Dubai is back. And I like Dubai. I think that it had subpar kind of reviews and ratings the first season. I enjoyed it. So I'm kind of happy that season 2 is back. I thought that the first episode that aired this past week, I enjoyed it. You get extravagance and opulence. You get an incredible backdrop because all the locations that they shoot, pretty most of it has a spectacular view and backdrop, from the restaurants to where they vacation and party, and just pretty much everywhere they go. It's everything's new in Dubai anyway, so it's pretty spectacular. And Chanel brings the fashion. I love the high drama, but the money, oh my God, there's a lot of money on this show. And I love prickly Caroline Stanberry. I thought it was pretty funny when her and Chanel had lunch, and Chanel brought Caroline a pineapple, and she said, well, what is this for? And because Chanel's known to bring unusual gifts. And she said, I brought you a pineapple because it reminds me of you. You're prickly on the outside, but soft and sweet on the inside. And she said, we've really gone through it the last season, and it was really difficult to get through those challenges, but we decided to leave the past in the past and move forward. And if that's what she says, is that I'm prickly on the outside and soft and sweet on the inside, that's the nicest thing she's ever said. And I thought that was adorable and sweet, and it's nice to hear friends move on and pass those things. You have Sarah is back, you have Chanel, Caroline Brooks is back, Lisa is back, and there is a new woman, Talene Marie, and so far, so good. I'm very interested in her story. She's another one from LA, former singer. I think she's going to be quite a good addition. Now, the lady from the last season, I believe she was, I think she said she was originally a Lebanese background. I thought she was absolutely stunning, just beautiful. She was the one who had the fruitcake company, right? And she had a ton of money, extremely, extremely wealthy. She's not on this season. I'm not sure if she left on her own accord or she was not asked back if her contract was not renewed, but she's not here this season. I don't know if she will make an appearance to be a friend of. Her story wasn't very exciting, so I'm guessing maybe she was not asked back. She wasn't very exciting, but I hope she is a friend of. I liked her. I thought she was absolutely beautiful, and she did have some interesting moments, but I think this season, Sarah might have a hard time, but it doesn't seem like she can hold her own. So, but I do like Dubai, and I am interested to see how this season's going to go. Definitely high drama and high fashion. So that should be enough for me to watch. High drama, high fashion, and great restaurants. I love good food, and I like to see what they're eating. So yum, yum, I'm in. Now it is that time. It is here, the Summer House reunion. And I postponed making this recording just so I could watch part 1 of the reunion so I can bring it to you, because I'm ready, I am here, and I am ready to go off on Carl. I am. Now, Lindsay, you are not innocent. You are not innocent, but I did find it quite a flip that as we all saw on the finale of Summer House, the girls were coming together, they were banding together as one, because even all of them, even with their past with Lindsay individually, especially like Paige and some of the other women, even though they have had a very bumpy past with Lindsay, getting along and staying friends, and it's been quite rough. But even they believe that the way Carl handled the breakup was just absolutely despicable. The way he did that, to call the cameras back in and break up right in front of her And she did look blindsided. Like he kept giving her the breadcrumbs or leaving the small little pieces of paper, as a trail for her saying, I'm not happy. And she kept asking him throughout the previous episodes, do you not want to go through with this? Do you not want to get married? Do you not want to be with me? I mean, she asked him this over and over again. And repeatedly, he was like, no, I'm not saying that. And so he would brush it aside and totally give her mixed signals, right? Saying, I'm still in this with you, but I do have concerns. So she was taking that, as I believe she was, as, okay, we're still going to go through with this marriage, even though we have our trials going on right now and definitely some issues. We're still in it and we're going to work through it. We're going to put our best foot forward and work on this, and we're going to do it. We're getting married. But she did. She asked him very plainly, many times, do you not want to be with me? Do you not want to do this? Do you not want to get married? No, I'm not saying that. That was his response every time. I'm not saying that. And then he would go and poor mouth her to anybody who had an open ear. Definitely everybody in the house. Every time he was running off to get bagels and anything else, any other supply that they needed for the party house throughout the summer, I'm sure he was probably poor mouthing him to the cashier at every store he went to. Every vendor that was dropping off a house. Did you see my girlfriend? She's awful. She treats me like shit. She's so abusive. That poor woe is me, Carl. I'm a victim. I'm a battered man. That is played out, and you look so weak. And I hate to say that I don't want to call him off bitchy or being mean, but that might sound harsh, but I don't care because he seems so wimpy. It's tough. I mean, the way he said he found a backbone, and the only way he found a backbone was to get on camera and break up with her, because you couldn't do it off camera in private, is shameful. Shame on you. You should be embarrassed for yourself. Absolutely disgusting. Okay? You should. How cowardly was that action? Okay? You couldn't do it to her face in private to see raw emotion. You had to do it on camera to see if she would explode and go wild. And that way you could enter and say, yep, see, that is what I've been going through. See how crazy and reactive she is? See how explosive and over the top? She's cruel. She's mean. She's unpredictable. She's irrational. And how can I live with this? Do you see how I'm the victim? That is what you're trying to put out there. You are trying to imply that she is just such a terrible individual that you are not going to humiliate this woman like that. Good on you, Lindsay, for not taking the bait. Do not take that bet. He has been casting the line this whole season, trying to make you look like you're the bad one. And again, I'm going to say it again. I think, yes, you can be a little rough in how you display your affections, can be a little cold at times, and how you sometimes project your love, and sometimes your delivery of how you speak to things with him can come off a little harsh, but that doesn't make you a bad person. Sure, you might have a little dysfunction in your past, and there's obviously major dysfunction in that relationship. But I am so glad that you saw what he was trying to do. And like I said, he was casting that line. The lure was out there the whole time. Don't you see what I'm going through, Lindsay? Don't you see it's me? It's me. You're being mean. You're being mean. And she kept saying, how am I being mean, Carl? How am I being mean? And the other women did see it throughout the season in the house. They saw them fighting, but they also saw both sides. And I think even they thought at times, I'm sure it had to be so annoying to hear them fight over and over and over again every weekend. It did bring the flow down of the house for sure. But I think they saw her in many moments, the other girls, be pretty rational. And I think some of the other guys did too. And I think everybody wants to be sensitive to Carl because there is a likeness to Carl. I mean, there is a likable factor to Carl, right? There is a likable side to him that you can see. But, God, he can be just a douche. He's kind of a dick. And I think even the men saw that too. I did like Wes this season, but Wes, it got to you. The fact that Fame Girls got to you and that came out, and you don't play around with Sierra. Sierra is the cool one. She's the gorgeous one. She's the likable one. She's the nurse. She's the one that can take care of you when you're not feeling well, and you blew it. I told you not to blow it, and you blew it. So your day is done, and she will never open that door. The door is closed and locked. So sorry, Wes, you blew it. You had the most beautiful jewel in the treasure chest, and you lost it. And, oh, God. Amanda and Kyle, I don't know if you should have children. You might want to put a pause. Why don't you move to the suburbs? Give it a couple years before you start spitting out children, please. Because you need to think, is it going to work? Because I don't see it lasting too long, your relationship, once you move to the suburbs. And it's just a mess. It's a mess. I don't know. I find this to be a very unhealthy relationship. I know that there's love there, but I just don't see this ever being a long-term relationship. Jesse, you're the new guy. You're a cutie pie player, a massive, massive player. And not a great player. Your one-liners are just, oh my God, they're really bad. But the good thing is you are really good looking, so that definitely makes up for it. I like Gabby, and I like the fact that Gabby is not taking the bullshit about that Carl's a victim. So Gabby sees right through all the bullshit, and she has all season. And she's seen through a lot of the bullshit. So I actually really like Gabby. I like Gabby a lot, and she doesn't seem to take a lot of shit. She can be a little emotional at times. I know, especially when you saw her had a breakdown, she said, I'm not that emotional. She seems a little bit emotional, but that's okay. I like her. She seems like she's got her stuff together. She sees through the BS and not through rose-colored glasses, and I like her. I like her. Dan, you're still a hot mess, but I still like you too. Anyone else? That's it. But I'm really interested to watch part 2. I'm sure there's a part 3. But I don't think you're helping yourself out at all, Carl. You playing this, I think you really set yourself up to look like, I think you've set yourself up in your mind for this season. So A, you didn't look like the bad guy. So you didn't have to break up with her on camera, which you ultimately had to anyway. You wanted to set this girl up, make her blow up, poke her, cause a fight, make her explode on camera, make her look like the outrageous one, so you couldn't live with her, so you had to break up with her and call off the wedding because there's no way you could ever do it because you're the victim. And when that didn't work, that backfired on you, and you were kind of looking the jerk. You're like, oh no, now I'm going to be canceled. So how do I replay this in a different way where I'm still can look like the victim and still can break up with her, but not get canceled? I don't think it's going to go well for you, Carl. I don't think so. So season 2 or episode 2 of the reunion and 3, or part 2 and 3 of the reunion, I'm here to watch it. I don't know if you watched that series on Netflix, Baby Reindeer. This series is loosely based, or a fictionalized version of Richard Gadd, who is a comedian and a bartender, and he had a female stalker. And in this series, like it got pretty intense. Like she was writing him insane emails, and it was really frightening for him, and she was following him around. And then he started to date someone, and when his stalker Marta found out that he was dating someone, she then started stalking the individual he was now dating, and then really terrified that person. And it just was a constant fear. He was, just his reputation was getting ruined. He was scared for his life, his well-being, for his friends, his family, and it just got really out of control. And he would, didn't really find much help in anything. But in real life, the person who Marta was, fictionalized after, this woman in real life, her name is Fiona Marta. This is the person that Richard Gadd loosely based the series off of. Her name is Fiona Harvey, and she is now suing Netflix for $170 million in damages. She's saying that, they said, although they tried to, Netflix and Gadd said, although they tried to change key facts and conceal her identity, her real identity, internet sleuths and curious minds want to know, oh my God, who is this person? If you're going to say that this is loosely based off of your real life, so Richard Gadd did and said, then you want to know, nature wants to know, oh my God, who is it, right? That's the first kind of thing that pops in your head. This is somebody real. Who is it? So the internet sleuths went on it. They saw a task and they jumped on it, and they found her. And I guess they started to harass her, this woman, and she said, absolutely no way. She said that her claims that this is completely false. This is not what happens. And it's ruined her life. So she is now suing Netflix for $170 million in damages. So that case should be definitely an interesting case. Yeah. And I'll wait for it, and I will read about it and bring it to you when the court case is happening. It'll be abroad. I don't know how long court cases typically take over there. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if the court case will be in England or if it'll be here. Netflix Studios, I don't know where it'll be. But if it is abroad, I will keep you posted and let you know how that court case settles. But no matter what, it should be an interesting case to watch, because that might have some effect on how these streaming services and other services for television and entertainment affect how they make changes moving forward to any kind of content or screenwrite or screenplay or anything that has a little bit, maybe a grain of truth behind it. Maybe this court case will change how, moving forward in the future, that these companies will do more to kind of change key facts or conceal certain, traits, identities, features, particular events that won't make it so easy to identify these people in real life. Because, people on the internet can be cruel and brutal. And when they find you, you do not know what's going to come at you. So this lady had no idea that any of this was coming, that there was going to be a series wrote about her. I don't know if there was anything that was going to be about her. But then to have suddenly these people from all over coming at you because, I mean, the show and the series on Baby Reindeer was a huge success for Netflix. So I cannot imagine how many people were reaching out to this woman in such a negative way, and to be just completely taken off guard by that. It must have just wrecked her. So I don't know what happened in real life with this woman and Richard Gadd. I don't really know what happens. I don't know. I don't know how much of the story was fictionalized, how much was, artistic liberty for the show. I don't know. But just saying, it sounds like she might actually have a case. So I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. Now, have you heard this interview that is coming out with Celine Dion? She's done one with Hoda Kotb, and she's been doing some other interviews in the press and things like that lately. And I think she has a documentary coming out. I believe she does, coming out in the next few months. And she starts to talk about this neurological disorder that she has, stiff person syndrome. And it just sounds so awful. I mean, it sounds painful, debilitating, and to have one of the greatest gifts to the music industry ever, Celine Dion. I mean, this woman's range, the clarity in her voice, I mean, it was just like an angel's voice. It really was, like an angel's harp on wings. It really is. And to see the fact that to see her not being able to sing and to perform and do what she is just a natural genius and just so gifted at. And she was put on this earth to sing and perform. Make no doubt about it. She is one of the greatest of all times. And to be able to lose that, everything that she's ever known. I mean, this woman was a child singer. She started out as a teenager performing in French Canada. So, I mean, it's what a tragedy to not have her on stage and to hear her say that she has had, it is so painful. And the spasms can be so bad. And I think she was saying this, I believe it was the interview with Hoda Kotb, that the spasms she's having as the result of her condition are so bad that it's actually cracked several of her ribs. And she said that the stiffening of the muscles can press down on her larynx so in her esophagus so tightly that it's like somebody is sitting and pressing down directly on her throat, and she can't, put out a word, a sound, a tone, anything. And it's just heartbreaking to hear her say that, because she is, oh God, what a voice of an angel. So I'm so sad for you. But to end things today on a great note, I would like to say a final adieu to the great Pat Sajak. Today is his last day on air, and Pat Sajak is one of the great game show hosts of all times. He's up there with Alex Trebek, Chuck Woolery, you name it. He is one of the greats. And I have to say, I had a personal experience many, many years ago with Pat Sajak when I was a bartender in DC. He came into one of the restaurants I worked at, and he was lovely, and everyone loved him. And he was kind and nice and very funny and a good tipper as well. So you always remember a good tipper, that's for sure. But he was lovely. And Pat, we are going to miss you. You were witty. You were quirky and sometimes a little strange, but we loved you. You're classic, and we will miss you. A final farewell, Pat. It's been great being with you for all these years. Thanks for coming into our home every evening and spinning that fabulous shiny wheel. Thanks for the memories, Pat. And thank you to you, Polywiners, for listening today. It's been so much fun being with you and sharing some fun stories and entertainment and a little bit of everything that we've caught through this past week. And please take some time and join us out on Polywine Time on Instagram and Polywine on YouTube. And check us out anywhere you can find us on all podcast services. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.